Okay, we're gonna be watching part two. This is part two of Hormozi's. We're gonna start where we left off. I'm Eric Escobedo. If you didn't know me just yet, I run an HVAC company, and right now we're trying to scale past $1 million in annual revenue. We're based here, and actually I won't say where, but we're based here in oh, I almost said it. Based here in America. So let's begin. Watch the video.
To keep long term.
Yeah.
That's what I would do for partnership.
How does it work if, let's say, she picked the one that's the second location?
Mm-hmm.
It wouldn't be the same at the equity of the less revenue ones.
Yeah, it depends how bad you want to get out. I'm serious.
Okay.
I gave my my best location to a partner so that I could split. You said earlier that you have about the same level of a margin between the two locations. You've got 2 and 3. It's like if you got 3 and she got 2, that would be a quote unfair deal for you.
Okay.
It would be. Mm-hmm. But then you're not going to be restrained anymore, and you can go do all the things, and you'll be at 550 or 600 or 700 in the next 12 months because you want to do more things.
Yep.
So then fine.
Okay.
This is a small business. You can very quickly change the numbers. That'll be the easy part.
Okay.
This is the hard part.
Yeah.
The rest of this is straightforward.
Yeah.
You feel all right with that so far? Okay. Let's talk pricing. I think that you should probably consider a plus 20% price raise on weekends. And that's because that's when demand is the highest, right? If somebody wants off hours, then they get off hour prices. If they want peak hours, then they get peak prices. And so that'll smooth out the demand within the facility so that you can actually just get more utilization out of it. And over time, what'll happen is that you'll smooth out the weekdays, but then you'll have even more people on the weekends. You'll just end up making more. And I think that'll have a big difference on your profitability. And so this is where I would experiment with having a weekend surge price. Okay. Now, you're having people just come back whenever. At the end of every single appointment, we need to have a BAM FAM, which is book a meeting from a meeting. So when they finish with the lashes, they walk them to the front and they say, cool, your lashes are going to be done in 2 weeks or 3 weeks. Let's just get that on the calendar now because I'm getting booked up pretty quick. Mm-hmm. Is there any reason you can't do that?
We do have clients who book their appointment right away.
But not all of them.
Not all.
Right. But if we had all of them do it, we would make more, for sure. Because even at basic level, if they're coming back every 4 weeks or every 5 weeks, and we just get them always to come back every 3 weeks, you double the amount of times they come back in the year.
Yeah.
It's a lot. Mm-hmm. So do you think your team can do that?
Do we give them like an incentive to rebook?
You can, or you can make it the job.
So we do ask them, and we do ask the client
every time?
Rebook. Yes, every time.
Okay.
Just some of them, they like, oh, I'll book later, I'm busy.
Yeah, we would do basic sales training around this because it is fundamentally a sale. And so if someone's like, hey, I'm not sure, it's like, well, totally. If you want, I'm here and you're here, let's just pull up our calendars, and that way we can just get it sorted right now, so you don't have to worry about it later. Mm-hmm. So it's just like a couple of lines that you can overcome with somebody that, I mean, if you just train them on like 2 things to say, if someone says, I can't do it right now, and maybe like, I don't have my card on me. You're like, don't worry, we have the card on file, and if you want, here, let me just pull it up. Does next Saturday work? Does the Saturday after that work? Now, you might find that you have a better time booking the next appointment before you do the lashes.
Okay.
Because I'm sure when they have their lashes done, they like want to get out the door, right?
Yeah.
But if you book it while they're doing it or before, it's like they're just sitting there.
Yeah.
So you've got, how long does it take to do lashes?
Like an hour.
Right. So if they're like, I don't have time to figure this out now, it's like we have 60 minutes to just get one thing done, which is like, let's just book the next time.
So this is what we mean when we talk about SOPs. We want to figure out the small things. Many people are like, oh, but these are the small things. These are the things that matter in the business. So we want to get that ironed out. And that's what Alez Hormozi is doing here. He's getting the small things ironed out. Once you get the nitty-gritty things like these are the small things that matter, that are going to be able to multiply the profit, multiply the revenue, then you can begin scaling. But we want to get this systemized in every single location. If you can start at location 1, get it systemized, get location 1 to run smoothly and perfectly, and every single employee well trained on sales, on everything, then we can multiply that location. We can get location 1, we just copy paste. Location 2, we do the same thing. We enact it. We have it ready in under 6 months. We have it ready in under a year, and it can very quickly catch up to the quality of location 1, and then we just rinse and repeat.
Okay.
Do you feel like that's more reasonable?
Yeah, we can try before they get the lashes done.
Yeah.
That's a good idea.
I prefer to sell before because once someone has gotten the value, they want to leave. And so I want to do it before they've, gotten the value, because they're like, oh man, I want to get this done. And it's like, great, well, these are going to run out in 3 weeks. Let's get the next one on the calendar. Okay, so bam, fam, we'll just say before. Before/during.
Looking for an easier way to get that LLC next to your business name? Say hello to Taylor Brands.
We're gonna get copyrighted with this.
Getting a customer to come back and buy again is absolutely a sales conversation, though it walks and talks like an administrative conversation, a scheduling conversation. But a lot of sales conversations look, walk, and talk like that, but they're not. And so we need to treat this conversation and outcome of getting them booked back in with the proper respect it deserves for the business. Because if all of a sudden we got 80 or 90% to rebook, it would dramatically change the outcome of the business. If that's the case, then we should put a lot of attention to this. And the nice thing is this doesn't even seem that hard, which are my favorite types of implementations. Not that hard, hugely impactful. Now, I do want to talk about the career path. Does everyone come in and start at 50%?
No, so they start at 40.
Okay.
Not everyone, depends on their experience.
Okay. The way that I like organizing something like this is, here, I'll draw it out for you. Let's say somebody could...
This is about to be very important. Employee career path. Especially in HVAC. There was some statistic, I think it's something like $15,000 it takes to train an employee. So if you have an employee and you spend $15,000 just on them for their training, for everything, right? To get them set up. Obviously, it's not you don't do it right away, but it's an average. If you train that employee and then he leaves after a couple of years to go for another company that maybe is giving them better benefits, is anything. If they leave, you pretty much lose that money. Those $15,000 you just lost. Plus a great employee that you specifically trained. You pretty much trained that employee for someone else, for another company. You took the burden, you took the burden of the spend on that technician, and you lost it. You pretty much lost it. So this is going to be a very important part, and I think this is something that a lot of people struggle with, especially sole operators who want to start hiring other people, other technicians, maybe want to start some sort of partnership. This is going to be a very important part of the video.
Eventually, 55%. Okay, so say like we got 55%, and then we've got 50%, and we've got 45%. And then we've got 40%, 35%, and then 30%. All right, let's just say that that's hypothetically our little path here. All right, so they might start here, and they're going to be junior / technician, whatever. Now, we can intermediately give them a bump, and I like to have this basically every 3 months. So this gives you almost a 2-year time horizon of improvements where you say, cool, I'm going to you go from junior to lash tech. And then you get the raise, and then you go senior lash tech, and then you get the raise, and then you get, what's another word for technician?
Lash artist.
Perfect. So it's like technician is the first 3. So you go junior, normal, senior. And then you go, same thing, junior artist. And then you go artist. And then you go senior artist. So that gives you 6 title changes and 6 different compensation changes. And you just do it every 3 months. And then when they hit their 3-month, their 6-month, their 9-month, what you can do is that with the increase of pay, you also unlock training. As you unlock these new things, we're going to give you another skill, which you can charge even more money for. So it just unlocks the earning, because not only do they get higher income, so basically when you give them the title, they're still at their old pay, but you give them another skill they can charge more for.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And so that way they're making more money at every level. One is they just literally get better economics. The other is that they learn another skill that...
A different title.
Yeah, that they can... Exactly.
Okay.
Do you feel like you could break it into like 6 pieces, the training?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Cool. And then that gives you a career path that they can work into. So what we're talking about here is deconstraining a supply-based constraint, which is how is she going to get more good technicians in each of her locations. And this is a super common constraint. And so if you're a business owner and you're being limited either by demand or by your ability to deliver on the demand, aka supply, we run workshops here at our headquarters here in Vegas.
Okay, so he's gonna advertise right now. We don't care about that, but I do want to go back to this thing. Let's check out this piece. Okay, so this, we want to modify it, sort of, kind of, so it fits our industry, which is the HVAC industry. Here we see they start out at commissions. Now you can do it a couple different ways. A commission based in your HVAC business. We don't have something in place yet, and I don't think it's gonna be this extensive. But I think we will do something like that for just guys who do sales. We don't have a lot of technicians just yet, but providing a career path, an employee career path, is very important. It's like, I don't know if you guys have seen, like, the McDonald's movie. One of the first guys that got employed at the original San Bernardino in California location, he started there, and then he built up to like something close to the CEO, some executive position. That's something that we want to provide. We want to show that our company is growing, that we do care, and that there is a future in our company for you, for our employee. We want to give them a career path. Hey, you started here, but you can go up to this, and you can go up to this, and then up to this, and we want to be able to show them that. And this is actually a pretty good visual. You show this, and they'll be like, they have that next goal. Within 3 months, you can move up. We pay you more, and you unlock new training. You unlock new skills that you yourself can upsell. Same thing. They can just keep going. Same thing with us. We want to go from somebody who just helps out. He's with the crew. He doesn't really know how to do much. He's just there to help, just a helper, an apprentice. And then we move them up to junior apprentice. He can start doing a little bit more. And then he unlocks skills. We start with the very basics. We start with the very basics of just installations. Maybe it's very easy. It's very repetitive. It's just install. You cut this, you cut that. It's very basic. And then we can move that up to other things. The sky's the limit. So let's continue with the video. Actually, I'm gonna go back right here.
If you want,
of course, it's an ad. Financial freedom, whatever.
I like the idea that you had where you have the one girl who's 33%. I think you just gave too much. And I think that you gave ownership rather than a profit share. And so the way that I explain this, and you can draw this for them or you can have them watch this, right? Is that there's 4 things that you get with ownership. You've got risk, which I don't know if they want that. There's control, which right now you're not giving up. You've got profit, and then you've got a sale, like if you sold the whole business. Those are the 4 components of equity. Now, they don't probably want this. They're not going to get that. And so what you can do is just give them the profit from the facility, but not ownership per se. So it's like, I'm just going to give you this profit.
Okay. Risk, control, profit, and sale. These are a couple things that come with equity. I want to make a quick post about this just for everybody to see. There's 4 parts. There's 4 parts that matter when it comes to equity. So with risk, nobody wants this. Nobody wants this. We have, the other one was, we'll go with control. Control. Everybody wants to be the boss. We have the profit. Profit. Who doesn't like money? And we have the sale. Possible exit in the future. So these are the 4 parts that matter. These are the 4 parts that we just said that matter when it comes to equity. Choose. Now we're gonna say focus on these. We're gonna leave it at that. Risk. Nobody wants this. Control. Everybody wants to be the boss. Everybody wants to be the leader. Profit. Who doesn't like money? And sale. Possible exit in the future. And I forgot parentheses. But let's continue with the video.
Here in the form of a bonus. And you can bonus them out every month.
Okay.
And So if we want to say like, what's the end goal? What do you think would be enough for them to be like, this is cool? Like this, is it 100,000 a year? Like what's the amount of money that they'd be like, that's a lot?
I think so.
Okay.
Around 100.
So what we do is I always back into what my on-target earnings, it's called OTE, but I want my on-target earnings to be. So if they're going to be a true owner, then are they going to be doing lashes or no?
Yes.
Okay. I'll tell you where I'm going with this, is that I want to create a path where they can get 20% of the profit of the facility. And so what you can do is say, cool, you're going to have the opportunity once you pass 24 months, once you pass 2 years, when I have my next locations that I'm opening up, I'll be able to place you in one of those new locations and you can have one of your own. But I'll front all the money, you'll work, and you're going to get 10% year one and 20% year two. So that's 4 years. But you have to do this extra work that's associated with that. Now, the cool thing here is that it's not equity per se, so that if they're not doing a good job, you could say, you know what, maybe you should just be a full-time tech. This much money has to go to getting somebody to run this thing. And it's either going to be you or it's going to be somebody else. So I'd rather give it to you because I trust you and I know you. But this gives you a very long-term career path for them.
Okay.
So it's like, put your 2 years in, you're going to continue to make more, you'll be fully trained up so that eventually you can train other people, which then you can open the new locations. And hopefully by 2 years of every location, you'll have enough cash flow to open another one.
Okay. For this, I'd start them at 40 though.
Okay.
So should I start? I can't start at less.
40%.
Yes.
Well, you
So
can't start
can I stretch
the
out
new
the
ones.
time? Okay.
The new ones you can start lower. And when you're saying stretching out the time, you mean like
Instead of 3 months, can I do every 6 months?
you could. I like having more frequent bumps. I'd rather you go 40, 42 and a half, 45, 47 and a half, 50 if you need to break up the increments.
Okay.
I actually like the cadence a lot. I like 3 months
Okay.
because it's always it's right there.
Yeah.
6 months sometimes it's too far away.
Okay. Yes.
So yeah, if you have to with the existing ones, you can go 40 to 50 and just break it into, that's 4 chunks plus the 4 title changes. That's 8 chunks.
Okay.
Does that work okay? And you could do it every 4 months and that still gets you your 2 years.
Yes. Makes sense.
Doable?
Yes.
Do you like this?
Yes.
Okay, good. And to be clear, you're saying, I'm not going to give you a facility when you get here. I'm going to see you qualify.
Yeah.
But you're going to compete against all the other girls who are at 2 years. So you got to be the best one.
Yeah.
Because I'm going to give it to the best person.
Yeah.
That is brilliant. That is truly masterful what he just did there. And I want to apply this to HVAC. I want to see how we can apply it. This is actually very interesting. The way we can sort of kind of do it is by, we have vans, we have crews. We can always provide sort of like a GM, a general manager position, and provide a path that's very similar to that. You start with pay, and then you can give them their own crew, maybe their own installation crew, their own service crew. You turn them into a general manager. They can take care of a franchise. Obviously, you're not really franchising, but you put the equity, you put the money for the marketing, for the establishing of the actual business, and you pretty much just have another location and you give them a percentage of the profit. Since you are the general manager, we can sort of kind of apply this to HVAC. It would not be a bad idea. Let's continue.
That way there's some competitiveness. Cool?
Yeah.
Okay, great.
So when a client comes to us with an ad,
What's going on with all the ads today?
Let's talk about the membership. What ideas do you currently have for the membership that you want to sell on the back end?
Right now we have and 12 months.
Okay. Are they paying up front?
Yes.
They pay up front for the whole 6 months?
That's what
No, I
I'm
love
offering.
it. No, I love it.
Let's go back.
It's great.
Let's go back a little bit on this. 1, 2, 3. So see memberships.
Let's talk about the membership. What ideas do you currently have for the membership that you want to sell on the back end?
Right now we have a monthly membership, a 6 months and 12 months.
Okay. Are they paying up front?
Yes.
They pay up front for the whole 6 months?
That's what
No,
I'm
I love
offering.
it. No, I love it.
Yeah.
It's great.
So for the monthly one, they not
What do they pay for 6 and what do they pay for 12?
depends on the type of fills that I getting
Right.
now, and we multiply it by
Yeah.
6 months.
Okay. What's the discount?
For 6 months is 10% and 12 months is 15%.
Okay. And then 15%. Got it. Do a lot of people do this?
I haven't.
Okay, so you haven't done it yet.
No.
Okay.
Just
So let me give you some ideas on this. So first off, I would rather you give away free stuff than discount if you can. Because one, it'll be cheaper for you.
Yeah.
Because your costs are so low.
Yeah.
If we can make the value of whatever it is more than 10% off, which you can do for less than 10% of the cost, because I'll bet that the actual cost of stuff is, I don't know, nothing almost for the lashes, I'm guessing.
Yeah.
Right. So what kind of free thing could you add in that would be like, valuable for them?
Well, I already add in the free facials.
Okay.
For those.
Okay, I want to apply this to HVAC, and this is actually something that we do. And I don't want to say that it's brilliant or genuine. It's average, but we do what he says. We do give free stuff on installation. If they ever have some hesitancy, like, hey, I don't know, it's a little bit too much, we can say something. They say that, can you give me a little bit of a discount? I'm a first time client, etc., etc., etc. No, we actually cannot give you anything free. We cannot actually give you a discount, but we can give you something free. We can give you a brand new. You can either give them like any kind of thermostat. If you see that theirs is kind of old, you can give them a new Nest thermostat. There's other type of thermostats that are not as fancy. You can give them something like that, a free thermostat, a free addition to their installation, without having to cut down on that. And then, in my opinion, it's actually cheaper because before that we used to give them for free, which we used to just add them. We don't do that anymore. We say, like, as buyer hesitancy, if they say, hey, no, it's a little bit expensive, we can add this to your purchase, and it's a lot cheaper for us. And it's the free stuff. It's a Chick-fil-A model. You either charge full price or you give something free, and I like that.
Okay, so they have facials.
For the monthly one, the price don't change, but I do have a lot of benefits.
So you give them facials for free when they come in. Okay, what else do you give them?
Just discount products.
Okay, product discounts. Okay.
We also increase our referral from $10 to $50 if they are a member.
Okay, I like all that.
And then just anniversary gifts and birthday gifts.
Really good. Did you look at our stuff? This is good.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's good. Anniversary and then
More
birthday.
value, but don't.
You don't have to change the price. Yeah. No, I love it. So I want to understand what makes this membership that she wants to roll out compelling. Because sometimes people just roll out memberships that are just discount-based memberships, and like, not my favorite way to roll out a membership. I want to add some significant benefits. So it's like you want to take away bad stuff, which would be money, and add good stuff, which would be value. I want to make it, dare I say, an offer so good people would feel stupid saying no. And so what I'm going over here is, what are the bonuses? And so if you're like, I'd love to know how to structure bonuses. The good news is I have an entire chapter on how to structure bonuses inside my offers book on page 117. So how do you splinter stack what you have, pull out the different components, order them in such a way that they're the most compelling as possible to each avatar? And I will say this, I think people kind of sit on this continuum of like, they have no bonuses or they offer like 100 bonuses. I think the magic is actually in the middle. Is you want to have each bonus in and of itself be worth the same value as the overall price. And so that someone could just say, I would do it only for this. I would do it only for the free facials, right? Now, would they do it only for the bump and referral bonus? Probably not. Would they do it only for the discount? Maybe. But to me, up to this point, the most compelling thing she brought up was that they would get facials every time they come in, which I think is not a bad thing. Let's see if there's something else that we can put up. So one other thing that you could consider doing, and I think this makes it kind of fun, it's up to you, is you could have a little sweepstake. Building
The sweepstake thing is fun. It seems like a lot for a membership now. Obviously, I'm not Hormozi. I don't know what his plan is, but I do feel like it might be a little bit too much, especially with their referral program. And it's just, you're just adding a lot of things, not because it's gonna cost you a lot, but because it becomes a little bit more difficult for someone to track. Or at least, I mean, that would be my opinion when it comes to HVAC. If you want to roll out something like this, it just becomes very difficult to track. And a lot of people don't really care about their AC. They just like install it, make my house cool or make my house warm, and just get out of my house. And that's pretty much the mentality with a lot of clients. So I don't know how well this would work in HVAC. I do know big company. I think the revenue like 80 million a year. They're called Hoffman Brothers. They're down in St. Louis, and they do have a membership like this. I think it's something like $7 a month, and they get some stuff like this. I'm not 100% sure, but it is something that's very, very, I guess, profitable and does help. But let's continue.
are entered into kind of a giveaway where they get something cool.
Yeah.
And then that way, when you select the winner, you can then advertise it kind of all over the place. And also, if they were referred by somebody, the person who referred them wins too.
Yeah.
So that'll give them a really strong incentive to refer as many people as possible because they'll get as many chances as possible to win. And so I think it should be like, say, I'm thinking like something like $200 to $500 of, it has to be enough that they should be excited about it. So just like one last thing that like maybe, but like, I think if it was like $500 with like whatever the full suite, deal is,
Yeah.
you give it to one person a month. I think that's very exciting from a marketing perspective. It's not a huge cost to the business.
Yeah.
Does that work?
Yes.
Okay. So how are we going to sell it? So someone comes online, they put their card down, they show up in person for, the $99 promo, right? While they're there, we're going to try and book their next appointment before they even start, or during the appointment, we're going to get them booked for the next one. Okay. Where are we going to do the upsell?
For the service or the membership?
Membership.
Now I'm starting with the clients who are already coming.
Okay. So the recurring clients.
Yes.
Okay.
And I say, why don't you try the memberships? You're paying the same amount you're paying now every 2 weeks.
Mm-hmm. Except you get all this stuff.
But then now you get all this stuff. And then you also get a free facial.
Yeah.
To sign up today.
Yeah.
I only asked like a handful of clients.
Okay. And how many people said yes?
2
Out of
like 5.
Okay, it's not bad. The one thing that I would do is the facials right now if they say yes.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's good. Immediate bonus is strong. I mean, 40% is not bad. I would like it to be.
But we see here that Hormozi is coming on the fly. This isn't something he's trying to grab all his business knowledge of all the businesses that he has been in, and he's trying to apply it to this business that he's probably, I'm not gonna say that he hasn't been in, but from what I know in his portfolio, he hasn't really had experience with the nail salon. Maybe he has, but I mean, all businesses are the same. That's what he calls it, that game. Whatever he is doing right now, we can 100% apply it to HVAC, and we can be just as profitable, if not more, if we are able to apply it correctly, if we're able to understand our target market, and if we're able to apply that to our desired target market. I already said that, but we see that this is important.
Like 70 though. I wonder how many more reps you just need.
Yeah, I think just offer more.
Yeah, because basically I think you have to get into the conversation and kind of learn the flow of it. But I would imagine if you say, hey, did you want to get like some of these free things? And they'll probably say yes. And it's like, cool, it doesn't cost you any more. Mm-hmm. And then be like, oh, great. How do I do that? It's like, just sign up for the membership. And the way that I'd start it is say, you've been here, especially if you're upselling existing customers, 6 times in the last, 6 months. It doesn't really matter. So just look up the CRM. How many times have you been here? So like, hey, Charlie, you've been here, 6 times in the last 6 months. I realized that you haven't been getting any of this free stuff. Did you know that you were supposed to get that? And they're like, I didn't know. It's like, yeah, all you have to do is just sign up as one of the members. You pay nothing more than you're currently paying, but you just get all of these things that you should already be getting because like if we could frame it on the fact that they should have already been getting it, it's kind of like a default close rather than trying to get them to opt into something. I want the positioning to be like, you've already been paying for it and opted in for it. Now we just need to formalize it.
Yeah.
I remember reading.
This is golden. Now, how can we apply this to HVAC? There's actually a couple different ways, but it really does depend on what type of HVAC that you do. We do about 50% residential, 50% commercial. So I'd say that this works a lot more for commercial, in my opinion. Just because residential, I mean, it depends. It depends how you frame it. But in commercial, you say, hey, we can get you a membership. You pay a lot less for emergency services because emergency services are very important in commercial. Just because they need you then and there. They need you then and there because they have a business to run and money to make. And if you're not there, they lose money. So you could pay for that. Yeah, I mean, you could charge for that, a membership for that. We're there within 2 hours. We're there within 3 hours, 4 hours, something like that. Another membership thing that you can add is something like, this one's actually really important. Maintenance is golden when it comes to commercial and even residential. Like a 2 maintenance 2 times per year. You come in and you just charge them something, and maybe 120, or I really don't know what you would charge for that. But obviously we need to run the numbers, see your profit margins, your hourly rate, all this. But this is actually very, very interesting, and it's something that everybody needs to apply. Memberships is something. It's literally a magic money maker. I think that's the way that I would frame it. Maybe I need to put myself here because I hate seeing myself. Maybe that's the way that we need to frame it. If we're able to instill a membership, you know, like you get maintenance and this and that. You know, you really do not have to pretty much call us. We just show up and we clean your stuff. That would be amazing. I'm trying to think of something else that we could apply it to. We can do something like, I'm not sure, but when it comes to residential, as I told you guys, like some cheap memberships, like $8 a month, something stupid cheap like that, just to get some revenue. A lot of people don't really. It just depends. It just depends about your profit margins, where you're at. Obviously, you don't want to be the cheapest, but I think mentality. Just a quick turnaround when it comes to being the cheapest or the most expensive. This is a conversation for another day, but that what I've been learning is that you want to charge what it takes for you to attract top talent, to bring top talent in. But let's continue on the video.
A study in a book called, I think it was like 50 Scientific Ways to Get to Yes. And one of the things they talked about in the book was that one country was able to get like 80% of people to opt in to be an organ donor, whereas other countries average like 10%. And the one thing that country did is they had people opt out of being an organ donor rather than opt into it. And so to me, that almost permanently changed how I saw upselling, which is how do I make the thing that I want someone to do appear like the default option, as in they have to opt out of it. And so the way that I'm trying to frame this upsell for Ani is that, hey, you've already opted into this membership. You just haven't been getting the bonuses. So let's just like formalize you getting what you already should have been getting, rather than, do you want to do this new thing? So upsells in a true new sales scenario, you might be at 30-ish%, 20 to 40, whatever. And that's the numbers that she's getting, which is fairly typical. But if we can structure it so that it feels like a default close or an assumed close based on past behavior, we might overnight be at those 80, 90% close rates, which is where I want it to be. The more you can get it to be like, oh, you should already have this, and the less pressure it is, the more likely they're like, yeah, okay, sign me up. How are you actually facilitating the transaction? You have the card on file, right?
Yes.
So do you say, hey, we can just use the card you have on file? Do you say that?
Oh my, I need to get YouTube Premium. Next time we come into here, I'm getting YouTube Premium. I'm getting
3.6.
I have a lot of memberships. This is not good. Okay, let's continue.
No, because I haven't asked that many.
Okay, well, I would have that as my actual final CCA. Is that way you can say, hey, if yes, I'll give you the facial right now, and we'll get you booked for the next time you're out here. You also get a facial then too, and you get some of these other things. And when you come to the front, card on file work, great. And then that way when they check out, boom, it's done. They're on recurring, and they just sign the thing, and then they're in.
Yeah.
Seamless.
What if they don't rebook?
They don't rebook. To be fair, the rebook is an easier sale than the membership. We have to first be able to close people on rebooking. If someone's not going to come back again, they're definitely not buying a membership.
Yeah.
So we got to we foot in the door, like get the small win, and then offer free stuff, and then go for the membership.
Okay.
So it's a 3-step.
Okay.
Does that make sense though?
Yes.
Okay. So that's how I would pitch it for the existing people.
Do I bother to sell the 6 and 12 months at all, or only people ask?
So
that's a different sale.
So I'll tell you. So the way it actually would work is that after they say yes to the membership, you then say, "Would you want to save some money?"
Okay.
And then you say, "Cool. If you want to save some money, you can prepay it today. Would you prefer 12 or 6?" Like you're getting into a sales business.
Yes.
Like this is how it works. The reason prepayment for memberships is so valuable is, one, people who prepay churn at a significantly lower percentage. Number two, it pulls cash forward for the business, which allows you to grow more rapidly if you want to, pay people more aggressively. And fundamentally, cash today is always worth more than cash in the future. And I would say third, and maybe most importantly, if they're prepaying for the year, it's unlikely they're going to go somewhere else. So you basically lock in the customer for all of the future business, rather than maybe they're only going to come 4 more times this year and they're going to mix and match between you and 2 other places. I'm going to draw this out because I think it's worthwhile. So first we bam the appointment. We have to get the next booking. Then we have our free offer. That's kind of the bait, right? We have our free offer. They say, yes, I want the free eyebrows. And we say, cool. So we already know when you're coming back. So you might as well just sign up for the membership. Yes. So now we have our membership. Yes. If they say, if we're already in on the membership, just from one tip. This happens separately from when they check out. So this is at the station. When they go up to check out, then we say, want to save some money. Save whatever, $150. Now they're going to be looking at their bill and it's almost the whole bill. So they're like, yeah, I want to save $150. It's like, awesome. Prepay the next 12. And if they're like, oh, I don't want to do that, you're like, oh, if you want, we could just prepay to 6. You want to do 6? That way you can save the money. But to make it really sexy is you say, oh, do you want today to be free? Because they're at the checkout. They're right there. The card's on file. They're about to leave. They're like, do you want today to be free? Oh, cool. Just sign up for the next 12.
Okay.
We already have the next time you're here. So you're good to go. Just check the box. Now, that, to be clear, is going to be off what you're going to save over the next year. Mm-hmm. But we'll apply the first discount today. Feel all right with that? Or is that too complicated?
No, I get it.
Okay, but it's just bam,
It's just the wording.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure. This is training.
Yeah.
This is how you train staff to do this.
I need the recording.
Yeah.
So I can learn it and then train other people.
Yes.
The training other people is the hard part.
Why don't we just cover the training right now? So if you're in a service business, you're in the recruiting, hiring, and training business for the most part. Because selling lashes to me is not super hard. Like beauty in general tends to not be difficult to sell because people just like go in and they look better. So it's a very easy sale compared to like, hey, work out for a year and wake up early and stop eating the foods you love. Much harder sale. The real thing that will scale this brand is her ability to scale training to new people who come in the door. And the arbitrage of the business is being able to get someone in who has low skill, train them up on your system, and then be able to charge a higher rate for what that skill commands in the marketplace. And so basically the arbitrage of I can train someone in a week and take them and pay them what I got them to say yes to on the way in. And then with the added training that I'm paying for, I can now make this spread on what the market now values this new skill at. And fundamentally, that arbitrage is what exists in service businesses and how service businesses make money. So
This is exactly, this fits into HVAC. Pretty much your limitation is your overhead, is your technicians, their experience, how well can you manage it. Obviously clients matter too, but it's how good of a job can they make. And we don't want callbacks, we don't want any dissatisfaction with our clients. We want to get it done there and then, and we don't want anything to hold us back, right? So this is very important. And also the sales is incredibly important. You want to be able to sell. You want to be able to train your staff. Like I said, it costs an average $15,000 to train a new technician. So I think that it's very important for it's very important for us to be able to train them correctly and have them be able to sell. I mean, this is something that we do, upselling, cross-selling, on the spot, but we do need to get a sales process like this down to the T.
she's got to be able to teach other people how to do this. The way that you have to train this is that you have to basically have them come in 30 minutes early or whatever the gaps are during the day. And honestly, like, this is going to sound crazy, but like every day for 30 minutes, they role play with each other. So if you have 4 girls there, it's 2 and 2, and one person's in the chair and they do the first part. Hey, so what time do you want to come in? And then you have to, well, I'm not sure. And then it's like, well, let's pull up your calendar. Like, I'll tell you what days I have open.
Yeah.
If you want to do it with me. And they should be incentivized to do that because they want to donate.
I think I only have to train the front desk. One girl at one location.
That's fine. That's even easier. So you just have to role play with her. Don't just say, here, say these words. That's not going to work.
Okay.
It's just repetition over and over and over again. As soon as they mess up, say, cool. Say it like this, try it again.
Yeah.
Say it like this, try it again. You did great. Do it 5 more times.
Okay.
Right? And we'll start from the top again. It's just a ton of repetition.
Yeah.
And then when somebody comes in, they'll probably say it the right way.
Okay.
Okay. All right, so the last piece.
Yeah, so pretty much how we do this in HVAC, like if you're in residential, which I think is most of us, most of you guys, in residential, pretty much you go, let's say you're just doing a maintenance or something like that, or maybe something blew out, a capacitor, a motor, anything that's like that, that's simple. You want to upsell something like a membership. Hey, obviously you don't want this to happen to you again. Do you just want to get our membership, right? It's whatever it is, and we come and service your AC. It increases the lifespan. It lasts on average 5 years longer if you get it maintained twice, 3 times at the start of the season, at the end of the season, things like that. Hey, do you want to buy we don't really recommend these, but have you seen those AC bags that you put on top, those AC covers, pretty much like for your car, you cover it, something like that. That's upselling. We can get you this. Small things like that. And the training is very important. The training of the sales process of the actual employees, that they're able to do this, that they're able to make this happen with the wording. Obviously, like you said, it takes a lot of repetition, it takes a lot of practice. It's just like anything else in life.
This is really just the ads and attribution. So this is actually very integrated into the brick and mortar. Okay. So when someone walks in, so this is during, right? This is after, which is these ones. That's after. And then I know looks weird, but this is before. So when someone walks in the door, what we want to immediately get their ID. So, hey, do you have your ID on you? As soon as they walk in, that confirms the appointment.
Another ad from Hume. I think this is a weight ad. The body pod lets you easily understand. Oh my. This is tough. What's going on with my internet? It's just so much of this. All right, 10 minutes left.
Then you say, great. Do you have the card that you want to put down today to pay for the thing?
So they already have that card file when they book.
Good. So we're just confirming it.
Yeah.
Now, the next piece is great. Sign in. And on the sign in, we want to have the drop down of where they came from. That way we can have our attribution for the marketing and the referral code if someone's getting some sort of referral benefit. The longer you stay in business, the more you are compensated by the quality of your decisions, not how hard or how long you work. As you increase leverage in your career, you want to make better and better decisions. And one of the easiest ways to make better decisions is have good, clean data. And so you can always just do Post-it notes and duct tape in the beginning. And that's how a lot of people start. There's nothing wrong with that. But at some point, you have to make bigger and bigger bets on where you're going to invest, where you're going to grow, how you're going to expand. And in order to make these irreversible bets, we need to collect the data so we don't bet the farm on something that's a loser. So that way, when every single person walks in, it's like, great, do you have ID in you? Awesome, cool. Is this the card you want to use for today? Just confirming, because sometimes people want to change their card out. And you're like, awesome. Can you sign in right here? Where'd you hear about us? Great. Did anyone send you? Cool. Let me know who. If not, then there you go. So then you got your referrals tracked, you got your ad attribution tracked, you got the right cards on file, and you have confirmation as the person. The reason I ask for ID first is because it's less intimidating. This is just like, it's a checklist, and they just follow it with every single person who walks in the door.
Yeah.
Like, the fact that you have this waiting area is the biggest advantage for most service businesses that are underutilized. Is because you can check off all things. You can get your reviews, you can get your next appointment done, you can get the card on file, you can find out where they came from, you get all of this stuff done before they walk in to get their service.
Yeah.
That's the big stuff. But I think we have to do the partnership thing. I think that's the
partnership. But I want to recap quickly how we can apply this to HVAC. He was talking about this is a pro for her that she has a waiting area. We can do something similar with HVAC. We can do something like when it comes to residential, hey, we'll give you a $10, $25 gift card, Amazon gift card. If you do this, if you give us a review, if you sign up to our membership and you get a $25, it's $8, it's $10 a month. We give you a $25 gift card. You have the first 2.5 months paid for, pretty much. Something like that, right? We want to, instead of giving you a discount, we give you this. Small things like that. And that's really what moves the needle when it comes to revenue, when it comes to profit.
big deal.
Yes. That's
Okay.
These partnerships, this is important. And I can tell you, not from experience, from experience that I've seen other people, from mistakes that I have seen other people commit, partnerships is probably one of the biggest breakers in business. You don't really have to choose your partners correctly. You have to choose how you manage your partners and how you manage yourself with your partners, with the boundaries that you set, the guidelines, that he was saying, like the training, everything. All of that is important when it comes to partnerships.
What's holding me back?
No, it is. Okay, so let's recap all this for you. Let's go easiest and fastest. So I use ICE as my little moniker. So impact, confidence, ease. So how likely is it this is going to work? How easy is it? And how big of an impact is it going to make? So something that's really easy, really fast, and high impact, we do this first. And some things are high impact, like the partnerships, but it's going to be not easy, right? Okay. So ICE is a really common investor framework, and it also maps pretty closely to the value equation, which is like, what are the 4 elements of value? You have the dream outcome, which ICE is the I of impact. You have the perceived likelihood of achievement, which is the confidence score. How likely is this to occur? And ICE just says ease, but
Okay, we need to post about this. Just so people, we help others. So we have ICE. Impact, confidence, and ease. How confident are we that this will easily have a strong impact? How confident are we that this will easily have a strong impact? Some things, like he said, have a high impact. We're very confident, but they're very difficult. They don't have a lot of ease. So this is actually a very important framework, and I think this is one of my favorite frameworks that Hormozi has ever spoken about. So we'll continue.
Split that into how fast and how much effort is there. So there's 4 variables in mind. If you want to use ICE, you can use 3, whatever. But the point is that we have to make these appraisals based on what expected return do we have for the resources we plan to allocate into the business. What bets are we going to make? And so zooming all the way out, I define strategy as prioritization of resources. There's a lot of things we could do to Ani's business, but the idea is that we want to allocate our resources to the fewest things that are going to get us the highest probability of high returns. And so this is how we reorder these things that we went over so that she can get the most out of it. Number 1 is I do think weekend pricing is just like easy profit that will make a huge difference for the business. All you have to do is just have 2 sets of, pamphlets or whatever that you have on the counter. And when it goes Thursday, then you have Thursday through Friday pricing or Thursday through Saturday
Would
pricing.
the regular clients get annoyed or that?
Well, if you want to, I can grandfather you in.
If you have a
Come
membership.
during, also great too.
Okay.
Another great way, right? And actually, that's amazing. Hold on. That is probably the biggest benefit that we can put in this thing for the membership is you have
Same pricing.
non-surge pricing. There we go. Now it's meaty. So one of the beautiful things is that you can create a problem and then solve it. So we're going to raise the price, but if you sign up for membership, you're not going to have the price raised. And it's only for weekends. So if you want to come on peak hours and not pay peak prices, just join the membership. I like that. That sounds good. That feels sellable. Mm-hmm. Okay. So weekend pricing, which will then pair with a membership offer.
This is something that we are definitely, that everybody needs to implement into themselves. Hey, we serve 3 restaurants from the same owner that the same person owns. We charge you emergency pricing, weekend pricing, etc. Something breaks, you're in the middle of rush hour on a Sunday evening, it's a high-end restaurant, you need anything fixed now, you can charge that weekend pricing, that emergency pricing, after hours pricing. But if you are able to talk with the manager or the owner or whatever, you can say, hey, here's the membership. It's a little pricey. I agree with you, but you'll save it on the first call. If you call us at Sunday, 7:30 p.m. after hours, all of our techs are at home with their families having a barbecue. We get a van to you in 2 hours, 3 hours, whatever. We get a van right there, right then, and you save yourself from a disaster, right? You are in the middle of rush hour, so we charge you more, right? But you can save that with our membership, and obviously you have to figure out the pricing of the membership. It's probably in the thousands if you're gonna be servicing commercial, but for residential it's a little bit different. I mean, like I said, $10 a month. That's something that one of the bigger companies down in Missouri does. There's other examples, but I think I really like that pricing. I'm not 100% sure on what they offer, but it's something like that.
And then I think we have our before process. Number 5, we have our during process. Number 5, we have our after process. 6, we have career path. And then 7, finally, we have our partnership issues. Okay. So weekend pricing, I think for you is going to I think it's going to be a huge difference because it's going to flow people right into membership. So I think you'll probably be able to see a 10%-ish increase in revenue without really doing anything else, because 50% of the time you get a 20% bump.
Do you think 20% is too high for a
Do you want to do 10%?
I think we can start with 10.
Okay.
See how it goes.
You have to be sold on it. If you're not sold on it, it's not going to work. So if you feel good with 10, I'm good with 10. All right, so bump it by 10, which means you'll probably have something like a 5% increase in revenue. But that 5% increase in revenue, given your 28% margins, goes from 28 to 33. And so it's closer to 20% profit increase for you. So even though it might sound
That's a
small,
lot.
right? Yeah, it's a whole nother location. Right, not bad. Membership offer. So the thing here is that you said a lot of customers stay past 3 months, right?
Yeah.
What percentage do?
Around 50, yeah.
Right. So if we can get that to something like 70% plus, that will probably be one of the largest changes in the business because you don't have to pay to acquire those customers and they just basically are always profitable going forward. And so that's probably some of the neighborhood of like a 20 to 30% lift in the business. So now the before process, this is just going to allow you to increase your ads because you're going to finally be able to attribute where are these people coming from, right? So we're going to have that. Plus we're going to get more people to come back because we're already booking their next appointment from right as they walk in, right? Then here's where we have our upsell to membership is at the chair because that's when they have to do the eyebrows. Unless we can stuff it before, that's up to you. I feel like it'll work better in the chair.
I think it's, well, not in the chair because then they won't be talking. They need to keep their eyes closed and get the service done.
So you think it should do before?
So, yeah. I
Okay,
think
so
after
then,
booking the appointment and then
well then let's do this.
do the membership.
Good thing is we can just cross this out. So you're just gonna have a before and after. So before they walk in, you're gonna get your ads, you're gonna get their comeback, you're gonna give them the upsell offer, and you'll get your reviews because I don't want you to stop doing that.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's all loaded before. Afterwards is basically second shot and prepayment. So they've already agreed, remember earlier, that they were going to sign up for the membership. On the way out, we say, hey, you want to have today free? Because the today free is basically what they would get off if they sign up for a year. But remember, you're not actually giving them today free. You're just going to say, like, that's what you're going to save in discounts. Yeah, okay, cool. So that's where you're going to go, and that'll pull up cash, which I think will be another probably 20-ish% that you can get from the business. The career pathing, this is just going to decrease the churn, right, for your staff. And ultimately, the thing is if you keep the staff, then you won't have to keep retraining people. And so the profit margin of the business will just naturally improve because the girls get better, they get more return customers, they have more repeats.
Yeah.
And then finally, the partnerships. So you're going to have basically 3 conversations.
Come on. No, yeah, but the partnerships, it's a very important conversation. It's probably going to be, I want to say it's going to be the biggest needle mover when it comes. It's this, in the ICE impact, high impact, confidence. I don't know how you would apply that, but ease, very difficult, high impact, high confidence.
Well, really just 2, because 1 you're fine with, we just need to increase the ad spend, which we can do once we actually have tracking. The hard conversation, I think you should do the equity swap.
Okay.
Even if it means you're getting the smaller one, because you're going to be able to go all in on it, and just I'm sure that you'll be able, if you're fully focused, you'll be able to turn it around in 2 seconds.
Okay.
And then the one girl who has her foot out the door, I'll just give her some sort of buyout so that she has some sort of stability over the next 12 or 18 months.
Okay.
And then it's like, hey, just do one favor in exchange for this. Just help me replace you.
Yeah.
That's it. How does this feel?
Good.
Feels like work.
Yes. But I like it.
Let me get a little bonus 2.5 is follow up with leads. So you could probably pay someone $40,000 a year to do one thing, which is just call the leads that come in. Do nothing else. You don't have to do anything else. You can stay at home, call the leads within 1 minute. So what we're going to do is we're going to make that number 1.
That thing that he just said, it is very important. $40,000 to someone just for them to follow up with leads within a minute. That is fundamental. That is something that almost every single company should do.
So, oh, by the way, and make that 0. This one is a 2 to 3x for the business. That's all that you lead generation.
Okay.
So you're going to hire somebody who's going to call the leads. We're going to roll out the membership offer with the weekend pricing. We're going to train the team on the new pricing. The reason it's going to make sense is because they're going to have this career path, and then you're going to have this conversation with the partnership because now you're going to have a more trained staff. They're going to get paid better.
Okay. So when do we call the leads? We say,
Immediately.
hey, we saw that you tried to book an appointment. It didn't go through.
I would just say, hey, saw that you booked our $99 promo. What time do you want to come in?
Okay.
And then great. What card do you want to use? And they're going to say, sure, here's my card. And if they don't say it, it's like, why do you need my card? You say, it's how we've always done it. That's how we always do it. That's how you say it. All right. Awesome job, honey.
Thank you.
Yeah, you bet. If you like this Cash Guys episode, which we can...
This is this is fundamental. This was a very, very good video that he just did, and I would actually tell everyone, hey, watch this video, take notes. I mean, we just did. I hope everybody took notes. But it's very, very. I want to go over some of the things that he just spoke about. How do I get this thing down? I see a little. Okay. So I want to go back to just for a recap once again, just to how we can apply it to HVAC. Let's see. This video is getting a bit long now, but right here. I'm a brief recap. Okay, weekend pricing. Emergency pricing, after hours pricing, it obviously gets a little bit more pricey. It gets more expensive. Another type of pricing that we can do is if you don't want to service towns or cities that are far away from you. Like we are based in Chicago. When we get calls from Milwaukee or Kenosha or someplace in northwestern Indiana, we charge a little bit more. Membership offer, we spoke about that a lot. The ads, all that, it's very easy to do. They fill out a lead, you ask them on the phone, etc. After, you can upsell them again on the membership. You can upsell them on actually a lot of things. The career path, we spoke about this. This is very important. Let's see. Okay, there we go. So career path. This is very important. Like he said, you reduce your churn with your technicians, and that automatically turns up a profit because you already have people that are very well trained. They are very well trained with your SOPs. Things run smoothly. You know them. You trust them. You understand them. They understand you. They understand your business. They understand how you guys work. That is very, very important. The career path is probably the number one thing that I think, not the number one thing, but it's one of the top 3 things that I think every company should implement right away. You want to keep your guys. You want to keep them. It's as simple as that. For partnerships, this doesn't apply to a lot of people unless they actively have a partner who they are not happy with or are looking for a partner. This is very important. I'm not going to go over it. We're currently bootstrapped. We don't have a lot of partners. We just I have a partner and I have someone else who puts in some capital, and that is exactly how we're growing. I will talk more about how we're trying to get to $1 million in revenue and how we plan to get from there to 5 million in revenue. Obviously, how you get from 500 to $1 million. It's not how you get from $1 million to 5 million, but that will be its own separate video. I'll show our business plan so you guys can sort of kind of take inspiration from it. Hopefully, not copy it exactly, but we'll see more about that later. See you guys. Thank you. Eric out.